back to 1914 and the March on Paris. And of course, we're using the new graphical look for Strategic Command, which I really do love. Right. Okay, this is where we left off on Strategic Command. This, just for those of you who don't know, this is the DLC in which you're playing a divisionally based game, and we are trying to take Paris and or other strategic objectives to win the scenario. Now, we've sort of created a pocket here. Not yet, it's not a closed pocket, but we're definitely pushing on it. Now, to make the AI worry, what I want to do here is just move into this. It's a strategic objective here, basically. So let's move up here and entrench. There we go. We're just going to max out. Okay, make the AI think about this here some. Again, you don't necessarily want to get right next to some of these because they have bombarding effects on that. So that is something, unless you're actually going to be assaulting it, which eventually we may want to do. Down here, okay, you you're dug in, but we can't reinforce you yet. Now, we want to close this, so we need to come down from the north. So, the aircraft is too far away. Right, okay, so I guess we're going to push here. Okay, we can't actually retreat, but we can swap these out. Damn. Oh well. I'm going to retreat you back up to here so that next turn we can resupply or reinforce you. Gotta be careful of the railroads and their supply function in this game. Not happy with how that worked out, but now here we've got the artillery in place, but it only has one shell. It can have up to 10. It's going to, for this scenario, get one shell per turn. So to get into Mons, we're going to need more than that. So what I want to do here is swap these two divisions out, so this way we can still, well, this is actually swapped it out for a detachment, which is not nearly as good, but hopefully we'll be able to hold this line. Here we're going to swap these guys out. Now, even if we could, and you can see the morale is really bad for this unit right here, it should get better. Well, not much, but by swapping them out, we have a more higher morale unit would be the right term, I believe. Yes, we're pushing there. Now, I want to get Ghent. I think I can do it this turn. I have to just grind it down. Ouch. Okay, that was a good shot. They can come all the way from the back there. Hold it, now let's undo that. That takes 4, that takes 3. Because if necessary, very good. We got Ghent. Now these guys can move in. Okay, we're using these guys to reconnaissance out a bit. Yeah, I think time is now to move. Although this looks very promising, it would be good to get to the seashore. I don't trust that there's nobody there. Okay, they're sort of stuck there a bit. So, all right. We're going to secure the town. The city, really, but... we might be able to take out this French unit here as well. Again, I either want to fully take it out, or I don't really want to attack terribly much. Well, this guy isn't in very good shape, but we want to swap them out so that hopefully we can, yes, get them well reinforced, but I want an infantry unit to be holding the entrenchment if I can. Cavalry can, but not as well. Okay, well, if we were to come to, okay, we have... Yeah, and entrench, that was the important element of that. Make sure we could entrench there. So we're pushing forward, we're getting a bit expansive. We'll just move up one there. Hello, Spiraling, how you doing today? We didn't quite succeed in taking that unit out. Not enough. Fine. Okay. Let's see how this one goes. If we can... But not as well as we thought, but didn't take too bad damage. Just a second. Let's remove units. Okay. So the attack from the north is coming across the rivers, not from there. So let's start with that. Okay, that hurt us a bit more than I liked. Again, that hurt us. Okay, stop that. Gamer. Don't put good units in after bad attacks. So we can repair, we can reinforce these units, that's fine. But I just really sort of wanted to, partially I wanted to, I mean, I'd love to grind this completely down, but we have this unit that's sort of hanging out here that's not entrenched. Now that's very weak, but I just figuring some of these guys could all dogpile on it and really sort of wreck its day. Okay, I'm sure there's somebody there. Let's just sort of kind of make sure. Okay, good. And entrench. I didn't get to there. I want to keep him here so we can reinforce him. Make him useful again. There we go. So now they're feeling the pressure along here. Okay, they can entrench. I guess that's a good. These guys can move up to there. Keep that momentum going. Keep the AI off balance. Now, where do I want the artillery? Would move it up into this direction. Right now, I don't feel good about the idea of besieging or, assaulting Verdun. Cutting it off, sure. We have to keep, we can win, and I forget exactly what it is, but you can win this scenario in, not a crushing victory, but in a good victory by taking enough objectives that, especially ones that weren't, they never did get Newport, or I don't think they got Wipers over. It was battled over, if I remember correctly. It was battled back and forth, but they didn't get Calais or Dunkirk. The Germans didn't. So if you can get enough that they didn't, you can still win the scenario without actually taking Paris. But with this game, the key is to destroy enemy units, completely destroy enemy units, and make them crumble. Not just keep pushing them back a little bit now and again. I mean, that's good. That's a positive, but you just want to keep killing units. So we want to sort of distract. If we can take out all these units here and push on up there. But I'm still thinking about this artillery piece. I'm thinking, do we want to put it into here to push this way, push up to here? Or do we want to keep going Schlieffen and go up here? Does anybody in chat have any ideas whether we should continue the sort of Schlieffen there, take the bait of pushing in the center here? between the Ardennes and the Argonne Forest. Comic Star is thinking 8. Don't think we need him down here. I mean, that'd be nice. It is Race to the Sea, exactly. Race to the Sea. Okay, I don't know the exact Schlieffen Plan, and obviously even Schlieffen knew no plan survives contact with the enemy. But the idea of it is to come and hammer blow, keep the German right strong as you're pushing through here. And in this day and age, Normandy type landings of, you know, huge overwhelming ability just really wasn't there. You could do opposed landings. You know, I've talked different times about how the British in, I don't know, roughly, 1800, I don't know, like 1803 or something, I forget, did an opposed landing down in Egypt against the French. The French had occupied most of Egypt. They had destroyed the French fleet earlier, the Battle of the Nile, as it was called. And then later, that whole army that Napoleon led down there is basically trapped in Egypt. Well, the British eventually decide to go after it directly. And so they have to come ashore again along the Nile Delta area. And there were, dug in cannons and infantry opposing the British rowing ashore in rowboats, firing at them. Now, the British also moved in light ships that had overwhelming firepower compared to even the cannons they had dug in, and powered them. Sorry, got to speak correctly. And were able to do an opposed landing. So opposed landings is not something that only happens in World War II. The Gallipoli invasion is an opposed landing, and they get stalled on their attack and are can't push in. So yeah, they do that in this day and age, but by taking these ports out, you sort of shorten your lines, because although you need to keep a garrison to make sure that the British or the French or whoever don't just start putting a few divisions ashore, and you can react with some trains to bring up large amounts of forces to deal with anything, but enough to just delay. But if you're they do get to the sea up in here, I think to Ostend, but not Newport here. So that this little bit of Belgium stays in Entente hands until the end of the war. It's never taken by the Germans, so there's always some Belgian territory that isn't occupied by Germany. So, and then they push, down into this realm here. So they have a longer front line to have to man, where if they had been able to push down along here and get to somewhere around Cressy here, you'd have a actual shorter of a front line that could be effectively a fence, so you can concentrate your forces better. Thanks for following. We really do appreciate it. Many great streamers are on this channel. So, that's part of the idea, is to shorten your lines. Part of it is to extend British supply lines, because if they have to, come down to Dieppe or somewhere further west to land their supplies and move them to the front line, versus just coming over here to Calais, to Dunkirk, to Boulogne, and putting them on railways, it just ease of supply for the British. There is that. And the whole idea of pivoting basically around Verdun. Let's see, trying to get it good. Okay, so here's Verdun. The idea is that instead of, and there were like we can see here, it wasn't a continuous line of defense, but it was more of a line of particular strong points that the French had built after being invaded from the Franco-Prussian War, that causes Germany to want to go around it, to go rapidly. So it's the idea of pivoting, having this as your pivot point and keeping that hammer blows, just pushing here. But the Germans learn that they're just not able to maintain the momentum of the assault because of lack of railway transport. The Belgians are doing what they can to disrupt the German advance. There is destruction of the railway lines. Now, the Germans are immediately trying to put them back into service, but there just isn't the flow of supplies and units to keep it up historically. So they couldn't quite do that. And this isn't the Napoleonic War in which soldiers will go into battle with maybe just 30 rounds of ammunition, and go into a major, Waterloo type situation, and in the and engage in a bunch of combat and walk away with still 10 rounds of ammunition in your pouch. I only shot 20 rounds because you come up, blast enough, and then charge in with your bayonets, and either you've won that or you've lost, and that's maybe just 5 rounds. And so the supply levels of supplying modern bolt action, machine guns that are just firing a lot, artillery and that's often the more critical element. And it's not just these heavy artillery units, but divisional artillery that are firing so many rounds that you got to keep all of that supplied, and then plus food and other sundry type supplies that need to come up, that they just cannot maintain. They can maintain the momentum of march, shall we say, but not the momentum of combat today, combat 2 days from today, combat 4 days after that. Just, and each of these are major combats that you need to, in essence, fully resupply everything. Well, very great. Yog Dog, thanks for hosting the stream. I try to imagine the World War battlefield with millions of men killing each other along the entire line, the death and suffering, the disease, etc. It is sickening. How lucky we are to discuss this from, absolutely spiraling. But it was definitely that has always turned me off originally on World War I. But the futility and the waste that was very real in that war. But the whole war wasn't that. There's a lot more interesting elements to it. The smell, very much so. My friend teaches me that plastic surgery will absolutely. There's stuff, the prosthetics, because of better medical treatment. So many people survived with hideous injuries that would have killed them before in previous wars. So, and if you look into the 18th century, it's normally like, well, if we can neatly chop off that arm and sew it up, you'll probably, you may survive, but, where, so sort of neat type wounds that you can seal up, people survived, fair number did. I'm not saying majority, but a fair number did, where a lot, before, in the 18th century, by the time you're getting to World War I, so many people are surviving. And hey, thank you very much, Gasyaka. Thank you for the cheer. The eye surgery evolved due to the ammunition ship exploding in Canada. People saw the fire through the windows. Very interesting. I did not know that. I do remember that there was an ammunition ship blowing up in Canada. And of course, the big one, at least I think the biggest sort of explosion, is Black Calm in the U.S. That explodes. It was a munitions depot, I think in the greater New York area or somewhere like that. Sorry, it just that. And so, shell shock. That's basically, it's PTSD as we know it today. Well, there's different elements, and people understand shell shock in different ways. I don't want to make this too long of a lecture here, but warfare changes. And one thing that, say, in the Napoleonic Wars, you would march around and be a soldier for days, weeks, months, and you knew you were pretty damn safe. And then all of a sudden, today's the day of the big battle, and it's a dangerous day. And so you don't battle a lot. Actually, what we think of as battle. Get to World War One, you have the battles are more often, so you're more in actual time of combat. But you're also sitting on that front line, dreading what's going to happen in the next moment. Are the enemies going to start shelling you? And even if you're inside your dugout, so you're going to be buried in that dugout, can you dig your way out of the dugout? You and your 30 other guys in there that you're buried 20 feet under the earth, and you've got to dig your way out before you run out of oxygen or whatnot. And then you get into modern combats, which are often guerrilla warfare type actions that you don't have the idea of, over there is the front line, and so when we're on the front line we're fighting, and then when we're off the front line, more or less safe. You have a lot of that element in World War II for both sides. There are guerrilla attacks, there's bombing, but you're more or less safe if you're not on the front lines. It's when you're on the front lines you're in danger. Where in a guerrilla warfare type situation, an insurgency warfare, every time you move anywhere, you're worried about IEDs going off, landmines. If you're at the base, you're worried about, when is the next rocket attack going to happen? And so that just is a constant stress. So I'm not going to belittle anybody's experience in modern combat, because people do have very traumatic events that they're involved with. But doesn't seem to me, looking out from the outside in, the modern day, Iraqi Afghanistan field is as nearly as intense as being a soldier on the Western Front. But that doesn't mean the grinding of PTSD, the sort of daily environment, isn't as caustic for everyone else. Thank you very much, Gus Yanka. See the videos of these men out of control, absolutely spiraling. I've seen that kind of stuff. And so, yeah. Okay, so I know we were starting, where's the artillery? We were starting here. We're going to operate it. And I'm deciding to see how close we can get it up to here, for maybe pushing here along with everybody else. Or here. Well, you don't want to put it here because it'll just get eaten alive. Well, if we're going to move it up to any of these other places up here in the future, we're going to move it by strategic redeployment as it is. So we're going to put it here. We'll have to get it up to here, maybe a bit, see what we can do. And so, yeah, all that I said doesn't diminish in any way the very real trauma that I've talked to people who have gone through. In a modern day war, but it just as a whole, as a overall experience. Cancel. You come back up here. I just want to get you fully. Again, railroads really sort of make the difference at times on how well we can reinforce. And that's, something that, why I've always very much think of wargaming as a teaching element. Learning, maybe teaching is sort of the wrong word, but for me it's learning about all the history, that's what's going on. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to move you up to here. We're going to entrench. No, just like that. Let's move you to here. You're going to entrench. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. We're going to come into here, to these entrenchments. What we're doing here is hoping to come up here and put pressure on our German friends. Okay, so now they should be feeling the pressure a bit more. Educational gaming. Well, that's what I really sort of think of about all this. Because as a kid, I grew up first on a sand table with adults, then later with sort of 2-foot squares that were well sculpted styrofoam that, with green flock on it, sort of things that make it look like grass, playing micro armor and rolling dice and doing that kind of stuff. That really got me into the history of tanks and World War II, and I wanted to learn more and more and more about it. So that is what I think of when, because I look at historical gaming as an educational thing, because you interact with it. You're not just, at least for me, reading books about it. I read lots of books, of course, but I'm also doing, not just watching or reading. All right, well, we have 10 MPP. We're basically out, so we're not going to purchase anything this turn. All right. So, okay. Good. Well, they're at least temporary. Oh, they're shifting forces from down here to there, shifting them around a bit. They're going to go after there. They're going after that. The detachment is weak. They might be able to kill the detachment. And they hit them from the weak flank there. Yeah, you can see cavalry can stand up to some punishment on the front. Ooh, I was sort of hoping they were too far away to come after him. But defensive artillery. See, I can think of nothing more important than studying the history of mankind. I mean, sure, science is great. Science will teach us a lot. And I am very, very thankful for scientific improvements. But without the context of human history, I'm sorry, I just don't find it nearly as important. The context of human history is what, to me, I think, is the most important thing going forward. And so now what we're going to do here is we're going to be smart and flexible. We're going to withdraw back to here, because what he was able to do is hit me from my weak side. Come back here and entrench. Yeah, if you don't learn from history, you repeat it. Absolutely. That's exactly the point. Even if even if it doesn't exactly repeat itself. And History Repeating is a good song by, sung by Shirley Bassey. You can look that up and play it in the background now on YouTube. Shirley Bassey's, she's the one that sung Goldfinger and a bunch of other James Bond theme songs. But if it doesn't exactly repeat, it's definitely following the same themes. And so I am passionate about people needing to learn and understand history. I really am. And I think the great fault of humanity is if they don't. And it doesn't just need to be the world leaders, the scholars. It needs to be the common people as well, so they don't get taken in by some, demagogue out there that's pushing something and just pushing it out there. And we can well imagine who I might be talking to in the, last 100 years kind of past. That doesn't. And so, I'm not trying to get in any way modern political, but it's just the idea you need to know history, and I think it is the most important thing to study. So if you can encourage people to have an natural interest in history, not to pass the test, to pass the course, to learn whatever, that you're sort of forced to learn, but to want to learn it, that is what I find so important. And what I know this is coming off as sort of like a religious kind of fervor that somebody's trying to preach to you, but it's just the idea that learning from history, learning what's going on, will just better everybody if they want to learn it. If it's because you retain it better if you do it because you want to know more. And with gaming, and particularly like wargaming, any historical gaming, but wargaming particularly that we see here a lot, it gets people interested. Now, unfortunately, it seems to mostly just be men for wargaming, but still, that's at least reaching approximately half the population. I just wish there was more stuff out there that would also interest women. When I play something, I tend to look, exactly, Comic Star, look for more information. One cannot step in the same river twice, history does. Yeah, I get you, Oxabalis, but it does follow themes. But it often rhymes okay. Yes, Mark Twain. Good quote there. Been playing Europe World War II. I'm thinking I should try. I think the Strategic Command, hello, Chaplain, Strategic Command game, engine, if you will, best suits World War I like a Strategic Command. I really like Strategic Command World at War and Strategic Command War in Europe. Played really good. But it lends itself best in Strategic Command World War I. This is the divisional DLC of the March on Paris that we're playing. That's included in the base game, as opposed to the grand strategy version of the whole war version. So yeah, well, good. And I know of a few women, but I know from my own YouTube channel and whatever else, often it's more than 99% males who are watching my videos. So I know they exist out there. Now, I don't know if Warhammer is more accessible to women than studying World War I or playing a World War I game. I want more. It's not an exclusivity thing like some people seem to want to claim for men and dealing with women in gaming. I want more women there. They just don't seem to be interested. I could be entirely wrong on that, but from my experience, they don't. Okay, let's move you up to here. Now, we could attack that, but that would be stupid. But what we really can do is, that looks like a good entrenchment path. Okay, and here is the other one. And we're going to rotate that around there. Now, can we read? Yes, we can. Only one. Well, one is better than none. Okay, we want to come up and cut this and cut their supplies. Okay, they have an entrenchment, so what we're going to do, there we go. I think straight north is the best because we're going to move into there. So these guys are now entrenched. I mean, they can sort of hit him from his weak side. So we've got all this area now effectively cut off. We can see just from our perspective, we can look at supplies here and what supplies would be next turn. I mean, this is for us, and this is why we're having some trouble with supplying some of these units here, you know, reinforcing them. Enough supply, he may starve. Could be a problem. But we can extrapolate the idea that he will be without supplies, and again, I may have to pull him back one or move him to here, maybe. But looking at the idea that supplying through an area without railways, and they've just had all their railways cut to all of these units here. 110% men. Well, and I also, you know, yeah, it's unfortunately, for my channel at least, it does seem that way. I'm very happy when any woman who wants to become more involved. But let's face it, they just don't seem interested. Whether it's cultural or biological or a mix, I don't know. You know, cultural, just society, media, whatever. I'm trying to think of, let's see, I want to get forward and pushing, but I also want to entrench. So that we keep coming up here. And we're just going to entrench you. That should be strong enough, hopefully, to hold. Do we try to take this out? I think so. Because I think I can come up here and get them. Good. Okay, I'm going to bet that they're just not going to... Oh, well, they got a little more units than I wanted to see there for sure than I wanted to see. Okay. Only have 3 action points. So come up here and entrench. Oh, they can't entrench even though they... Oh, did they attack? They probably attack. Okay, well then move up there if I can't entrench. If you're going to be risky, be risky. And we fully, yes, good. Okay, now you guys, which I know are not fully, but we'll move you up to there, we'll move you up to there. We'll keep you moving this way. Yeah, this guy might starve down here. I'm worried about him, but we can always fall him back if it's not going to work out. Okay, we just oh, we had a defensive shot last turn. That's right. Well, Let's swap these out. So, well, okay, there's still not enough supply for you, but we can come up here and entrench. This is why I'm so glad that, you know, the historical reasons here. So glad that Slytherin Matrix, basically same company, does publish games that aren't super in the mainstream because of their historical and educational purposes that they have. Right, okay, well, we're going to move you to here, I guess. Main reason I'm moving him here, obviously, is to be able to shoot here if we so desire, but he's still on the railways to still shift as needed. Okay, you know, to some other location, you know, get him, you know, if we need him up there more or something. It wasn't quite the number I was hoping. No. Reinforce. Max 10. Good, that was better. Now here. Well, that didn't go as well as I might like. Now. Okay. Now we have to keep our supply lines open. Well, let's see. Well, they can come to here, so he can come up here and entrench, looking straight south. You can right up there fairly quickly. That just sort of, because they will starve if they come too far into the, you know, through the Ardennes forest here. But I don't need them even temporarily cutting my rail lines here at all. It was just misting Talonsoft when they discovered the Matrix and Slytherin gave me games I really missed. Yes, very much so, Chaplain. Very much so. Yes, they are doing that work, particularly with command modern operations, that they're selling them to militaries and defense departments, and that's a very good thing. But even games like this teach people, soldiers, whatever, about warfare in concepts, even though it may not be overly realistic with, you know, turns and a lot of stuff abstracted. Regarding the percentage of girls in the genre, I think that will change. Until recently, the percentage of girls in games general was quite low, but now, even though casual games are still gradually coming to master more complex genres, I'm a woman, gradually learning the art of war. Now and getting into war games, I think the percentage will flatten out. It just takes a few more times. It takes more time. Yeah, that's quite possibly. Definitely in gaming in general, I would say that is definitely true. You've got to get games. You got to have women designing games, and I don't mean just injecting themselves into games that already exist. I mean from the scratch up, what, and I don't want to be stereotypical here, but what men created gaming way back when around things that they were interested in inherently, which one of them has been warfare. So, and women just have not been as interested in warfare. Again, I don't know if it's biological or cultural or a mix, but it's something. I can't answer that question. I just know it's a historical fact. So far, it's been the case. May change, but so far, it's been the case. And so they need to design a game, that they want to play, that's from their interest, and make it interesting, whatever it may be. Now, then how do you then take that as just generally into gaming and then try to get it into something that is historical, that's educational, that's still fun? It isn't meant to be, oh, this is boring, I've got to play through this because it's educational. No, it's fun to play, but then you also learn from it. And so I'm, very passionate about that idea. And as you can tell, I don't even claim to have all the answers, let alone actually having them. But I know it's something that needs to sort of be done to get them inherently interested in it. Will cultures and societies change over time? Absolutely. I just don't know how much, because of male testosterone and other things, males are generally, not exclusively, not entirely, but generally more interested in violence and things of a violent nature than women. That just generally seems to be the case, and war games seem to be something, or doesn't have to be a historical thing. It can be like Warhammer, or some first person shooter, or whatever it may be, more inherently have been a male thing inherently. But I know more and more women are getting into it. I'm not saying they shouldn't or won't. I just don't know, but I'm looking at historical basis from everything. Hello, unknown. Logistics absolutely makes a difference. Yeah, known. Complexity. Women can like complex things. I just don't know how or what they want to learn about. And yeah, I follow some women on Twitter that are, one's a female historian that studies the Luftwaffe. Another one is called Panzer Mom, and she's into, tabletop tank games. They exist, but they're sort of like unicorns. They're rare. They're exceedingly rare. And, of course, Yanka, you're absolutely welcome here, and don't even take anything I'm saying as a negative. It's just my understanding of looking at the issues of that stuff. In my country, military is compulsory for a man. Well, see, that may be the thing. It may need to be compulsory for women as well, and then women will be more interested in it, because if they have to, I'm sure there's somebody there. But what we want to do again is to put pressure on the French down here to take it off of where our real blow is coming much further up north. Now you're here, hopefully fully in supply. Yes. Okay, we're gonna also come. Okay, we're gonna come to here. Nope, straight south. There we go. He's somewhat defendable himself, can't attack, and his entrenchments here will definitely help. Unique like Slithering gamers among normal gamers. Yes, obviously, we are a smaller sort of batch of people here. Let's see quickly here. Okay, I just want to. Oh no. Here. I know most of you already have copy, but just putting up a link to my YouTube channel. Here, I know we'll get this off the screen. Open another window if you like, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel where I do cover historical gaming from very much an educational perspective. Okay, so now we have this. We're pushing south here. Do we want to attack here? Okay. Oh, that was really painful. We're going to try one more attack. Hopefully it won't be really painful. It was somewhat painful. This won't fully kill him, which was my hope. Okay. Oh, shit. Supposed to do air attacks first. Yeah. Whoa. The commander in this part of the theater was should be fired for incompetence. Ugh. Okay, so we have this unit here. What I want to do, he was as far forward as we could. What's our, yeah, we got a fair amount of MPP. Let's operate him. We're going to send him up here. Yeah, fire that commander for incompetence. Oh yeah, the operational art of war. It's a very good game. When I go to game conventions on hiatus this last year, I've seen a percentage of players of all sexes increase. A golden age part has been women and more Euro games. No less competitive, but equally competitive. Very good. I argue that even in countries with compulsory service for both genders, it still won't translate to women into hardcore strategy. Been a fan of most strategic subgenres for 2 decades and haven't met a single female online which shares my exact interest in gaming history. Well, as some of you know, I also play, well, I mean, you can figure games from other companies. I won't specifically mention what game or what company, but I've made a major historical mod for another strategical base World War II strategy game, major one. And I didn't know this at first, but my editor, okay, we're just not getting the supply down here, turned out to be a woman who edited both the English and German that I was using in the thing, and I didn't know just because of screen names that she was a woman when she first started editing for me, and she came about being my editor just because she played the grand strategy game. And so yeah, they exist. Trust me, I know that. Like I say, I've worked with one. Okay, we're going to sort of see about breaking my rule here. So I moved in a lot of forces here. This won't probably kill either one of these units. Oh, this one may. There we go, got one down. Retreat out of the... So like I say, they do exist. I feel like that commercial. They do exist, whatever that was. That's very reassuring. So far, the nicest comment I got from my girlfriends in the last 30 days is, why would a grown man play with toy soldiers on a computer? Yes. Yeah. That's unfortunately most of a good illustration example of most of our experiences. At best, it's sort of tolerant amusement at our interests. Okay, we're also going to operate you, get you from there up over to here to keep our right strong, to keep moving in this direction. So, yes, that is most of our experiences. Okay, well, I'm going to move you up to here, I guess, and up to here. Partially because I failed to operate them here. And I still can bombard down to here next turn, but they also might be useful up around here.